Nation, you already know, man. Let's get it. Yo, salute to everybody already here in the building, man. It feels like I literally just hit the end button, but we're right back. You already know, and we got a GOAT in the building, man. One of the GOATs on YouTube. You already know, man. We're not even going to play around with this. We're going to bring our guy in immediately. My brother, Sanjit T. What's good with you, man?
Man, I'm doing well, bro. I'm excited. I've been waiting to get on with you for a while now, man.
Yeah, we've been talking about it, but you're busy. I got stuff. We're always fathers, husbands, businessmen.
Right.
I know how it goes, man. But hey, man, timing is everything.
Yep.
We're here today, and I'm excited to pick your brain about some stuff. So we've been talking about the quarterbacks, and we've been talking about this, and that, right? I'm excited because you are one person that I always go to when I need some information within the trenches. Okay, offense, defense, both sides of the ball. But I want to talk about some of these needs that we have. The defensive line now is pretty much a strength at this point. We ain't got Christian Wilkins.
Absolutely.
Brought Adam Butler back, John Jenkins. We'll probably end up going to get another player there, another edge rusher, maybe even another defensive tackle in this draft. But the offensive side of the ball, it's clear cut that we need a guard and we need a right tackle of the future, okay? And we're going to go over a few of these guys that are available in the draft. But I have to ask you this. With the addition of Cody Whitehair, right? He hasn't been a Pro Bowl guy since 2018. He struggled these past few seasons with the Chicago Bears. There's familiarity there because of the Luke Getsy connection. Do you think at this point, right, going into the draft, that he is your starting left guard and we're moving Parham to the right side?
I don't think so. I really don't think that. First of all, I think Whitehair's played both left and right guard. I know he played more left guard, but I know he's played both, and he's also played center. I'm not sold on Cody Whitehair at all, man. I look at our offensive line, and I get the scheme fit aspect of it. I get it. Like, oh, he's quick, he's fast, zone, this and that. But, at the end of the day, you still got to be strong enough to handle power at some point.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on Whitehair. And if he's the starting left guard, Parham's starting right guard, James is obviously going to be the starting center. We're going to struggle on the offensive line, regardless of who you get at right tackle. Those three guys, I feel like, just aren't, you're old enough, I'm old enough to remember, just 6-7 years ago, we had a dominant offensive line. We had Clutchy Osemele.
Oh, my God.
And Gabe Jackson.
Howard. We had Howard over there as well.
Right. And our offensive line, whooped people's ass,
Yeah. Hell yeah.
We're nowhere near that offensive line, right? Like, our guys are not going to put people down. Our guys are not going to bully people around there. And we got to get those guys, right? In my opinion, we got to get those guys. Cody Whitehair's not that guy.
Yeah.
I think it's a solid pickup if he's your, swing guard, backup center, those type of things. It just doesn't make sense if he's starting. Is
this a Greg Van Roten, Alex Barr type of pickup? A guy that can provide, he could provide some versatility, like you said, play center. Had some reps as right guard, but he's been predominantly a left guard. I think that this is a situation where Getsy wanted to bring him in and help all these other guys understand the philosophy of what he's bringing forward with the new scheme. You know what I mean? And I don't think this is a guy that's going to be – he'll be a rotational player at best. I don't see him as a starter. But going into this draft, how do you address the right side, brother? Because we don't have a lot of needs, and I've been saying this for many moons now, but we have glaring needs. Right tackle. We need another guard. But we need a quarterback. And if we're going in – you're the GM, Sanjit, right now. How do you approach this draft? Do you instantly attack the trenches at 13, or do you wait on a quarterback? Do you go tackle guard first 2 rounds, and because Telesco loves to go offensive line in recent memory with his drafts. He's went and got Zion. He went and got Rashawn Slater. There's a shit ton of guys that he's drafted. How do you approach the draft going into this upcoming season with knowing that we have 2 glaring needs on the right side of this draft?
Yeah, I think right away. I really give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
No, you're good, brother. Take your time. Take your time.
Someone said my microphone was not sounding good. I hope that fixed it right there.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. I hope that fixed it right there. But all right. So first and foremost, we got to get a right tackle, right? We got to get a right tackle. You look around the NFL. I actually went and I did the math. I went and looked at every starting left tackle, every starting right tackle, and I think it was like 90% of them were first round picks.
Yeah.
Right. Occasionally you'll get a second or third round guy. Sometimes a fifth, UDF, those type of things. But generally speaking, most starting offensive tackles are first round picks.
Yeah.
And to me, if you want a starting right tackle, you don't take one in the second or third round. It just doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Right. Now, for us, that sucks because this is the year we also need a quarterback.
Yeah.
Right. So with that, to me at least, I feel like, and I hate doing this, but I think it makes more sense to build the roster out and make sure that, hey, we have a solid O-line, we have a solid D-line, we have the unit that can support a rookie quarterback. And I'd rather go that route than saying, hey, let's take like Michael Penix, let's trade up like 4 picks and we take Michael Penix. He's the 5th quarterback taken.
Yeah.
Right. To me, that doesn't make sense. That's a massive risk because now you're taking a quarterback and you don't have that offensive line and you don't have like, the group and those type of things,
Yeah.
Now the right guard position, I have no worries at all, right? You can get a guard in the 4th or 5th round and you can get a guy that's starting.
Yeah.
We've seen guys last year go 4th, 5th round, they're starters. And this year we're fortunate because there's so many great tackles, guards, centers that are going to be available in rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6. Cedric Van Pran was considered the best. He was considered the best center coming out last year.
Yeah.
This year, people are saying he's like a 4th or a 5th round pick, which is crazy to think. And I think the smart thing for the Raiders with the right guard position is let's draft our center of the future and let's put him at right guard. Okay. Right, let him play right guard for a year or 2, and then we'll move him over to center.
Okay.
So that could be Cedric Van Pran.
I love him. Right? Love it.
And there's a bunch of guys. You can get Zach Frazier is a solid player, but some people are saying he might be a 1st round pick.
West Virginia. Keep an eye on Dallas. For some reason, I'm seeing a lot of mock drafts, and I'm hearing a lot of smoke out here in the Dallas area about West Virginia's guys. So definitely,
there's a ton of really, really good guys on the inside, right? So I'm not worried about the right guard position.
Yeah,
but I am worried about the right tackle position, right? Let me ask you this question: Who are your like top 4 or 5 right tackles? Like, how do you have it ranked?
It's interesting because it just changes so much. So, I mean, if you want to go tackles completely, or you want to just go right tackle, just right tackle.
Just tackles, just generally speaking.
Well, I mean, Joe Alt, to me, I'm a Notre Dame guy. I think he's the clear-cut top tackle, but I think he's going to be off the board.
Okay.
By the time we go, I love Fuaga, man. I love the nastiness that he brings.
Right.
I would love to look at him. I mean, I know a lot of people like Fatnu out of Washington. I do think that he's going to be successful at the next level. I think it's going to take a little bit of time.
Right.
I like Fashanu out of Penn State. I like J.C. Latham, man. That's probably my second favorite tackle. Joe Alt's my favorite, but I'm going to go Fuaga and J.C. Latham because Alt's going to be off the board.
Okay.
And then I want to put Graham Barton over those guys, but I can't because I don't know if he's going to be a center, tackle, guard. I don't, just depending on where he goes, I have no idea. And then probably a Tyler Guyton. I like him a lot out of Oklahoma as well. So but it's up in the air. Like one day I like this guy. I watch some tape and I'm like, that's my new favorite guy. And then I'm like, some days I love Mims, but then I'm like, I don't know what he's going to be at the next level out of Georgia. You know what I mean? So I don't. If I had to just pick today, I go Fuaga, J.C. Latham, and then it'd probably be somewhere. I'd probably go Guyton, third favorite tackle.
Okay.
That'll be available at 13.
Okay. Yeah. So that's interesting. So the cool thing is there's a ton of temp tackles, right? So we could definitely get a tackle at 13. And I think I seen a tweet. Someone put it out there like Telesco almost never trades, right? He almost always kind of stays put. And I looked into that, and that's primarily what happens with him.
Yeah.
And I watched this interview that Mike Mayock did like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and he talked about like, as he was the GM, he talked about how you could already predict like Howie Roseman's going to be trading, Bill Belichick's going to be trading up down the board.
Yeah.
Ryan Poles recently is a guy that's been showing that he loves to trade.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then you got guys like Telesco who does not really trade, so you can kind of predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously the wild card is the quarterback position, right? The quarterback position, you are going to want to trade up for that.
Yeah.
Now, if we end up just saying let's get a right tackle, I agree with you. I think Alt will be off the board.
Yeah.
Now, I don't personally have Alt as my number one tackle. I have a completely different board than I think most people.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
So I got Fashanu out of Penn State as my number one offense tackle.
Okay.
I got Alt 2, which recently actually changed. And I got Tyler Guyton 3. I'm way higher on Tyler Guyton than I think the average person is.
No, we're on the same page. At this point, he's my third favorite tackle. Also, so I agree with you.
And I'm not even lying to you, man. I would take Tyler Guyton. I think Tyler Guyton is going to be the guy with the most upside. If he hits that upside, which most tackles you generally do hit your upside, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you become like an all-pro player, right? Like for example, you look at like DeJuan Jones from last year as an example. His upside was that, hey, this guy could come into the NFL and his technique's insanely good. He'll snatch, he'll slingshot, he'll do all the things you want as a tackle. But he has that limiting factor, which is he isn't that quick.
Yeah.
That fast.
That's why he pretty much a false start every damn play.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you can look at a guy like Tyler Guyton, right? And his upside's different than like DeJuan Jones, right? Tyler Guyton's he's 6'8", and he does not play like he's 6'8". He's crazy fast. He's crazy explosive. He moves. I think he moves better than Joe Alt does, right? And they're the same height, right? And I think he's more athletic than Joe Alt as well. I know Alt's tape was better this year, but Alt also started for 2 straight seasons every game.
Yeah.
Tyler Guyton, he played a couple games last year, but he was behind 2 guys that are now starting in the NFL. Yeah. Right? Wanya Morris he'll be starting left tackle for the Chiefs this year. I got Anton Harrison, who's the starting right tackle of the Jaguars. But what's interesting is Tyler Guyton played against Jared Verse of Florida
State
last year at the I think it was the Hula Bowl, or it was one of those bowls. Yeah. And Tyler Guyton kicked his ass, right? Like he whooped his ass, and that was like one of his first games where like he was because I think it was Wanya Morris. I don't think he was hurt. I think he just opted out. But you watch Tyler Guyton from last year, and you watch all his tape this year. The guy is. I think he's going to be the best. I think he'll be the best tackle in this class.
What do you think about some guys like? Because I know you said that you don't really think that you can get a tackle in the mid rounds, right? But what do you think about guys like Frank Crum out of Wyoming? Have you done any homework on him, or Blake Fisher, the one that played opposite side of Joe Alt? Like,
I watch some of these guys for sure. Yeah, I feel when I put the tape on, I'll usually watch like 2 games of guys, and I'll see if they pop on tape. One of the things I look at right away is like movement skills. I think as a tackle, if you can move, you have a chance to be successful. If you can't move, you'll always be limited. That you can't really move well, right?
Yeah.
I think Blake Fisher has the potential to be a really, really good offensive lineman. But I think Blake Fisher is also a potential first-round pick, low first to second-round pick. I don't think he's like a 4th or 5th round guy.
Okay. Right. See, I had it projected as a late second, maybe early third because of all this great talent on the O-line.
Right.
I could see him falling. Even a Jordan Morgan that I like a lot out of Arizona, which I think he'll be available at the beginning of the second. But there's some people that have him going in the first as well. You know what I mean?
Right. And there's other guys, like Washington has, what's his name? Roger.
Rosengarten.
Like there's guys like that are going to go in the 3rd round. But the thing with Rosengarten, in my opinion, is he's a little slow.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like, if you're slow in college, you're going to get your ass kicked in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right. And teams, in my opinion, at least, right, teams aren't that patient with offensive tackles. I don't know what it is. For example, I watched Jalen Duncan just recently, who's with the Titans now. And he looked pretty good. But apparently the Titans still want to go out and draft an offensive tackle. Right. They don't want to be patient with him. And I almost feel like for the Raiders, it's going to be the same thing with like Dalton Wagner. We saw a little bit of him in preseason, and I almost feel like we're all like, I just get a right tackle, let's move forward. Let's get that guy,
I'm just nervous about him because I ask a lot of questions to people in Vegas. One of the main guys I mentioned, one of them is always Sincere McCormick because I love Sincere. I watched him in college. But I know it's just the biasness is just crazy. But with Dalton White, I ask Hondo, I ask other people that are in the building, like, what is your take? And it's like, we don't know. There's so many questions because he played so great at Arkansas.
Right.
He ended up being a UDFA. And I'm like, man, this could be the guy of the future. You know what I mean? And there's so many question marks, brother. I don't know what he is at this moment. You know what I mean? Like, you watching the tape, I know you probably watched Dalton Wagner. Like, what do you think? Do you think that he's going to end up being a guy that can potentially start for us down the line, or is he just more of a rotational guy? I mean, what is your take on him?
So I'll be honest, man. I've been out on Thayer Munford for a while. Right?
I know you have. Yeah.
He just doesn't look the part to me, and I think it just comes down to the movement skills. Right?
Okay.
He just can't move, and you can always put a tight end on his side, and then you can always chip with the running back as well, and you can influence speed rushers. One of the things they'll do is they'll put a running back next to the quarterback, and the running back will release to the right as he runs this route. And if the defensive end takes a wide angle, the running back hits him, right? And if he doesn't take that wide angle, and defensive ends know it, right? This is what NFL teams do. If he doesn't take that wide angle, he won't get chipped, right? But what that does is that helps that tackle, because now the defensive end's not trying to get super wide and use like a speed rush or whatever,
Yeah.
So you can always do that, right? But what's going to end up happening is there's always going to be times when there's like a 2-minute drive or the end of the game. It's a passing situation. And do you really want just 3 guys running out because you have to chip block on every single play?
Yeah.
One of the things the Chiefs did was once they found that quarterback, they said, hey, Tyreek Hill, great having Tyreek Hill, but how useful is Tyreek Hill when our offensive line can't hold up?
Yeah.
Right. Let's just get slower and let's just let our quarterback do his thing. Right. Let's just protect him. Right. And I think that's the right way to kind of build. Right. And with that, I know I go on and on, but
bro, I love it, bro. I love it. So
with that, I think, I've been out on Thayer Munford. Your question was, what do I think about Dalton Wagner? I think Wagner has upside. Right. But what that also means is, so let's say we skip out on a right tackle, and our idea is it's going to be Thayer Munford and Wagner. They're going to battle it out. Right. Yeah. But what if both guys suck? Right.
Yeah,
now you have Jaden Daniels back there and both your right tackle options suck.
Yeah.
What do you do then? And I think that's the thing that kind of worries me going into the season is if you don't figure out the right tackle position, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so there's in no world, like, how do we end up with a Jaden Daniels, which you're going to have to give up a first and probably your second this year as well.
Right.
How do you end up with one of these top tackles? You're just hoping and praying that one of them drops.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And another thing to keep in mind is NFL teams aren't stupid. Generally speaking, the best tackles are going to be gone by the time like round 3 comes. You get lucky if you end up getting a tackle out of like round 3 or lower. Yeah. Right. Like you'd be super lucky because most of the good guys are taken. Yeah. So like, for example, we're all talking about Blake Fisher. I know you've talked about him in the past too. We all like Blake Fisher. We all see it with him. The mock drafts are wrong with Blake Fisher. Yeah. Right? A lot of the, like right now, for example, on a mock draft database, he's ranked like in the low. I think he's like ranked 100. Yeah, which would make him like a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, he's always available in that 3rd, 4th round range, and I'm like, how is this even possible?
That's not realistic. That is not realistic at all. Right? He's gonna be gone. Right. So yeah, so to me, when you really now there's an option you could trade for a tackle. Right. I don't really know the guys that are kind of available, and I don't know if teams are really looking to trade away their tackles. But if there is a guy out there, maybe there's a team out there that has a tackle, maybe his rookie contract coming up. Maybe they're willing to trade, that guy. Yeah. So there's that option as well.
The only good option that I think is if you miss out on those top guys, that the guard position is so heavy, Sanjit. Like, right. You know what I mean? So you can always find the right guard, and then I just hope and pray that Mayer and Harrison Bryant can chip the fuck away on that right side, bro. Right. Try and help whoever it is, because you can look at a Mason McCormick out of South Dakota State, right? He's a dog, bro. Right. Cooper Beebe, Kansas State. Like, this guy, I think, could be an all-pro at the next level.
Oh, absolutely.
Christian Haynes, one of my favorite guys out of Connecticut. Like, it's just so deep of a draft on the offensive line that if you do miss out on a tackle, I don't really, I would hate it, but I understand that you have to identify the quarterback in the NFL, right? It's a quarterback's league. You got to have that guy. And I didn't want to talk too much about the Aiden and all that other stuff because I don't want to go that route. But I think that you still can build a monster. Well, you know what? Let me say this. Let me ask you, what do you think about Andre James? Because before I finish this sentiment, I want to ask you, what do you think about Andre James?
So I was surprised when we re-signed him. I didn't think we should have. He's an okay center. Don't get me wrong, but he's you're 5 or 6 or whatever. He is what he is, right? And we see it. We saw it this last year. There'll be 4th and 1 plays, and someone's going to kick his ass and blow the play up.
Yeah,
right. He'll be fine 98% of the time. Not even 9. He'll be fine 94% of the time. But then it's still 6% of plays where he gets his ass kicked. And as a center, you can't have that. You're in the middle. Like, you got to be able to anchor down. And I was a massive Andre James, fan when we first brought him in. I said, hey, this guy has upside. But I'm also realistic about guys. If your upside's not reached, you got to move off of these guys.
Yeah.
Now I get it that you wanted to re-sign him. I mean, it's essentially a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
Right. We can get out of it after 1 year, and I think we incur like $2 or $3 million in terms of dead cap. Yeah. I think it's a smart contract. That's why I think we should also just draft our center and put him at right guard.
Okay.
Right. There's so many great interior offensive linemen. If you can get Cedric Van Pran in the 3rd round, like that's perfect.
That's a steal
right there.
Yeah.
Even if you somehow get like Jackson Powers Johnson in the 2nd round, that'd be crazy.
He's an all-pro. He's going to be an all-pro, bro. I'm telling you now.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Man. Oh, man. So, damn. But see, I think he's going to go in the 1st round. I do, bro. I don't think that there's any way Powers reaches the 2nd. He's just
100%. I think he goes top 20, 25 picks. He's the best offensive lineman in this class, in my opinion. Like, his overall positional value doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And people I'll always say, like, hey, you don't take a center in the 1st round. But if you actually go and look at all the all-pro centers, they're primarily all taken in the top, like, 40 picks.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of them are 1st-round picks.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, and look, in the center position, we seen, man, Huddy was our anchor on that O-line for years. For years. And once he got aged and moved on, we seen the difference in our O-line. Salute to everybody, man, in the chat. You guys wipe them feet, man. Hit them thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, man, hit that subscribe button. And also subscribe to our brother Sanjit. You already know, man, one of the GOATs of this Raider content stuff. Once again, my brother, thank you so much for pulling up on us. Salute to GA, man. Sanjit, don't apologize for going on and on. That's what we come here for. Graphk and Waster, go on specialists. Raiders. We ramble all day, every day, Sanjit. Right. So it's all love, bro. Salute to GA. Salute to S. Sanjit, what is your take on Guyton's lack of film, possibly because of injuries? And what do you think of Blake Fisher matching Joe Alt's blocking skills on Joe Alt's highlight film on YouTube?
So first and foremost, I want this to be known. So Guyton, one of the things that happened with Guyton, in my opinion, is the tape was not out of Tyler Guyton. Mm-hmm. About 3 weeks ago, you could not find any Oklahoma tape. The only game that was out there was the Texas tape from the 2023 season. And we got that on, I think it was like April 1st or April 2nd.
Yeah.
And I started watching all this guy's tape, and I'm like, dude, this guy's he's a beast. There's just no way. There's just no way Tyler Guyton's not one of the best 2 or 3 offensive tackles, especially when you consider the guy's 6'8".
Yeah.
Right. And his offensive line coach is one of the best offensive line coaches in the world, right? Mm-hmm. Very, very good offensive line coach.
I agree.
So when I watched Tyler Guyton, and I don't think he was hurt, right? Like, I know he went to TCU. His first was like 2 years, and then he transferred over to Oklahoma, and he wasn't hurt. Maybe he was hurt last year. Don't quote me, but for the most part, he was pretty healthy. It's just he had 2 other guys that are now starting offensive linemen in the NFL ahead of him, right? Plus, those guys were already at Oklahoma versus this guy transferred to Oklahoma. So he was going to kind of be on the back seat already. But I think, like, when you look at only the 2023 tape, Guyton's tape is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Very, very, very solid tape. I think the other question was about Blake Fisher.
Yeah.
So I watched his tape as well. I went back and I watched him again today. I'm actually doing my rankings right now.
Okay. He said, what do you think of Blake Fisher matching Joe Alt's blocking skills on Joe Alt's highlight film on YouTube?
Yeah, so they're different players, obviously, right? Like Joe Alt's massive. It's a massive human being. Yeah. But Joe Alt does struggle sometimes with power, right? Or with guys that are a little bit longer, but they can kind of match the power. I feel like with Blake Fisher, he's a little bit different. Obviously, Alt is better than Fisher, right? I think he's more athletic and he's longer, he's bigger.
Yeah.
But I think Blake Fisher has so much upside as well, right? I'm kind of surprised that he's not being projected as a late first to early second round prospect.
Okay.
I think he's going to be legit. I think he's going to be legit.
I do too. Let me ask you this, man. With all this talk about, guards and tackles, first 3 rounds in your eyes, and I'm talking about specific players that that are probably going to be available. We see every year, right? Things change. People reach. We've done it a million times. But first round, second round, third round, where do you value the positions? Like in the first round, where do you go? You're the GM. Second round, third round, how do you attack this draft to make this team better? Because the defense is our strength now, and I'm all for adding on to that, Sanjit, to strengthen our strength, right? Like we're going to be a defensive minded team now,
right?
But we also need a tackle. We also because at that point we need a guard, because if any quarterback you throw out there is going to struggle with opposing defensive tackles and defensive linemen just all over us. Like, how do you approach those first 3 rounds?
Yeah, so I think I think with the third, let's just say we keep the 13th overall pick, and let's just say we see it happen every year, right? Sometimes quarterbacks do fall a little bit, right? Will Levis fell last year. Everyone was like, he's going top 5. He ended up falling. Let's just say only 3 quarterbacks get taken before the Raiders pick, right? Let's say it's McCarthy, obviously Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels. And let's say Drake May is available with pick 13 and Michael Penix Jr. I would draft Drake May right then and there, right? I still really, really like, and if it's not Drake May, let's say Drake May gets taken in JJ McCarthy's, I would take JJ McCarthy as well.
Okay.
Right. With the 13th overall pick, I would just go ahead and go forward with the quarterback.
Okay.
Right? I think that's going to make the most sense. And then with the second round pick, it depends on who the wide receiver is. I would think about possibly bringing in a wide receiver, right? And if it's not a wide receiver, I'd possibly target a running back
with Jacoby and Devontae in
absolutely.
the house.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, let's be honest, right? I know people are not going to agree with this. Devontae Adams is getting older, right?
Yes,
it is what it is. He's getting older. His contract's not favorable for the Raiders next year. We'll have to restructure that. But he's getting older, right? And you got to be honest about that. And yeah, Trey Tucker showed a lot of upside last year, but we know upside doesn't always end up translating into a guy being like a legit football player, right? And I'm not saying 100% I'm going with the wide receiver, right? But I'm looking at wide receivers, and I'm definitely looking at running backs in the second round, right?
So some guys that may be available there in the second round: Keon Coleman, Florida State, big body guy, 6'3", 6'4". I'm thinking, man, Javon Baker may be available. There's a few guys.
Absolutely.
But what guy would you if that you think will be available in the second round? If you said, you know what, I'm going wide receiver here because this guy's available, who's the guy?
So there's a guy that plays for South Carolina. I don't know if he's going to be available.
Xavier Legette?
If he's there, I'm pulling the trigger. To me, it reminds me so much of like Deebo Samuel. He has like that factor of like, you give him the football, he makes things happen.
Yeah.
I think the Raiders need a legit playmaker. Do we have a wide receiver that can catch the football? Let me ask you this. Do we have any player on offense that can catch a screen pass and take it the distance?
Right now?
Yeah.
I mean, you probably have to look at Trey Tucker.
Right, but he hasn't proven
I know.
Maybe
but I'm just saying that realistically is probably the only guy on the roster at this point. You need to add some speed.
Right.
And to be honest, I would like to add a speedster, but who's also a bruiser. You know what I mean? Right. Yards out with Yak. And I think that he could be one of those guys, or Malachi Corley.
Right.
Another guy that can,
as well.
Yeah.
So maybe wide receiver, but I'm looking definitely at quarterback in the first round, and we got to get a running back. I'm way out on Zamir White, way out on Madison. Those guys are cool, good to have on the roster.
Okay.
But they're not Jonathan Taylor. They're not Nick Chubb. They're just not that. We need an explosive running back.
Okay.
I love Trey Benson. I think he's the best running back in this class.
State, love him.
I'm taking a running back. The thing with the Raiders roster, so you said the defense is stacked. And I agree. We don't need to target anyone on the defensive side. Right. But what we need is we need to make sure the offense is legit as we go forward. So we need a right guard. We need a right tackle. The guard position could be filled in round 3, 4, or 5. It doesn't matter. You find so many great guards.
Hey, Zach Zinter, he might be available because of the injury out of Michigan. He may be available a little later.
Absolutely. Fantastic football player. So there's a lot of really good guards. So I'm not worried about that. You could target a right tackle in the second round if you go with the quarterback in the first. Alternatively, you can even trade up, right? You could trade your maybe you trade next year's first round pick for like a team that's picking like 21 or 22 or so there's something like that, right?
Yeah.
Because the tackles are legit in this class, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to see like 8 offensive tackles be gone the first 15 picks.
No. There's going to be a run on receivers, run on quarterbacks.
Right.
So there's going to be some available. You're right.
And I think Jackson Powers Johnson will be gone. We'll get, I think we could get a linebacker going the first, maybe not, but maybe it happens. Mm-hmm. Right. So there's definitely going to be tackles available with like pick 20, 21, 22. I think guys like Tyler Guyton, I think Tyler Guyton's actually going to end up going higher. I don't think he's going to be there. Something tells me Guyton's going to be the second or third tackle taken.
Okay.
But like Talicia Fuaga could be there. JC Latham, Amarius Mims could possibly be there. I like Kingsley Sumaite at BYU a lot. I think he has upside, although he's technically a left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can take Blake Fisher. Maybe you trade up into the second round, towards the top of the second round.
I'm not against that. I like Blake Fisher. I think he's going to be a guy at the next level.
Right. So like if you get that quarterback in round 1, like the everything changes, right? And depending on how many tackles kind of go. So one of the things that's happened right now in the NFL, I've talked about this in the past, is the defensive ends in the NFL have gotten way too good. The NFL doesn't have the offensive tackles to match those defensive ends. Mm-hmm. So pretty much every team has, if it's not 2 good defensive, most teams have 2 good defensive ends, but generally it's 2 good defensive linemen. So most teams have 1 defensive end, 1 D tackle.
Great edge rusher, great defensive tackle. Yeah.
And the offensive tackles have not matched that yet. So teams are struggling to find those offensive tackles. So they're also being a little overvalued. That's why like Jordan Morgan may go in the first round, right?
Yeah.
The guy's not that good. In my opinion, he's kind of average. Mm-hmm. He has to develop, but he may go in the first because teams need those tackles.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, I think quarterback, tackle, and hopefully the Raiders are obviously in that same predicament as well, right? They got to get themselves a right tackle as well.
Yeah.
And we're less than a week away from the draft too, which is crazy.
It's insane, man. Let me get these supers in real quick, and I got a question for you. We're gonna have some fun with this one. Salute to Richard, man. Thank you so much, brother. Salute to all the new members because of Richard D, my guy, my brother. Appreciate you so much. If you guys want to become a member, hit the link. It's pinned up top. One of the best ways to support what we do over here. Salute to Raider Fellas. Salute Graphk. Salute Sanjit, my guy. Ahmed says Drake May is available 13. Man, the NFL is in trouble. Well, this is the thing. I don't know if Minnesota. So if at this point you're thinking Minnesota probably moved up to get JJ McCarthy, Denver is an interesting team right there. They'd be for us. I don't know if Drake May falls, but it would be interesting to see if he was available. He could be Mr. Mayonnaise this year. Like you just talked about him, you know what I'm saying, going to Tennessee in round 2 last year. Yeah, maybe he does fall. You never know. I like Drake May, man. I think he catches a lot of flack for, he had some talent around him, but he didn't have a lot of talent around him, man. You know what I mean? The offensive line struggled. You know what I mean? They have a really good running back. They had one really good, a wide receiver out there, but, he had to deal with a lack of talent. You know what I mean? And I think that's another reason why he's kind of dropping down some boards here. But I would love if Drake May was available and we didn't go get a MPA, Michael Penix or a Jane Daniels. I'm all for it. I'm a huge fan of him. But staying on the quarterback. So we just did a fun content creator mock draft with Mitchell Renz, right? Salute to our brother Mitch. And it's funny because, I took Terrion Arnold because I was thinking about what Telesco and Antonio Pierce would do. There wasn't what I wanted to do. I like Terrion Arnold. Quinyon Mitchell's my favorite corner in this draft. Yep. But I took Terrion because I have this feeling that they like what he does. They like what he would bring to the program. But interesting, in the second round, we were thinking, oh, this is Sanjit. He's going to go get a tackle. He's going to get a guard. He may even take a center because he doesn't think Andre James is the guy of the future. Yeah. You took Bo Nix in the second round, and some people praised it. Some people were like, what the fuck was Sanjit thinking? Yeah. I love it because I'm not a hater on Bo Nix. I think that he did everything that was asked of him within that system, and he played it to a T. In the second round, what is your thought process there with Bo Nix if we decide on going another round? If we took Bo Nix there in the second round, what was your thought process behind that pick?
Yeah, so if you're going to take a quarterback in the second round, you want a guy with upside, right? Like in the first round, obviously is the first round. You're going to get one of the best 2 or 3 quarterbacks. That makes sense. But what you don't want to do is say, hey, at pick 13, let's take like Michael Penix and Bo Nix at pick 13. Right? Those guys, the upside is not as high. Those guys, you can watch.
I'm big on Michael Penix, so I got to disagree with you on that. But I hear you.
Don't get me wrong. I like Michael Penix, right? I like him. I don't hate him. But at 13, you can put, like, for example, I was watching the national championship game earlier today, right? There was a play. I was watching the right tackle specifically at Washington. There was a play earlier where the right tackle lost and Penix got pressured a little bit. He ran away from it, but he was getting pressured and he just threw it up. And the cornerback on the left side dropped the Penix right to him, and he dropped the interception. There was another play. He threw it into triple coverage. No one caught it, but there's plays like that from Penix, and to me, those are plays you can't have. And I get it. Other quarterbacks may have issues that you can take out of their game as well. But I watched Derek Carr for a number of years, and the one big issue with Derek Carr was you hit him once, you hit him twice. You start pressuring him, he panics.
You rattle him.
Right? He gets rattled. And that's the one thing you can't have from a quarterback, because when quarterbacks bust out, right, when they go from college to the NFL, one of the big things they bust out with is they don't properly adjust to the speed of the game, right? So, like, they'll feel pressure that's not really there, and then they won't be able to read coverages, right? And that'll be, like, the 2 primary reason guys really bust out, right, going from college to the NFL.
Yeah.
And with Penix, if you're taking him with the 13th overall pick, what that means is that means you're allowing Olu Fashanu or Talisia Fubaga or Tyler Guyton. Maybe it's Terrion Mitchell. Maybe you're allowing some of these guys to possibly not get picked up, right? Or you possibly not draft these guys because you want to take this quarterback who may ultimately bust out, right? He's going to be the 5th quarterback taken.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, like, the Broncos or Vikings, people say, oh, the Vikings got that second first-round pick because, they're committed to taking both of their first-round picks and moving up. That's not the case. The Vikings are going to take a quarterback with that second first-round pick, right? With their first-round pick, they'll probably take a tackle, or they'll take a corner, right? Terrion Arnold, Quinion Mitchell. They can take one of these guys.
That's a hot take, Sanjit. I have not heard that yet, and I like that because everyone's saying package him up, move up, get J.J. McCarthy or Drake May. So I like that.
So what difference is it? Like, okay, would you rather have the Vikings got the 10th overall pick?
10, 11, somewhere in that range. Yeah.
So would you rather have the 10th pick this year and the 23rd pick this year, or would you rather have done what the Bears did for the Panthers pick, right? Where you're kind of gambling, but the Panthers kind of suck, right? Would you rather have the Panthers first-round picks in back-to-back years as opposed to, like, the 10th and the 23rd?
Yeah.
Like, for example, if the Raiders get Jaden Daniels for this year, Daniels is going to struggle, right? We may only win 5 or 6 games. Right. Wouldn't you rather have the Raiders first-round pick this year, which is the 13th, plus their first-round pick next year, which could easily be a top 5 to 7 pick? Right? Like, wouldn't that make more sense than saying, hey, the Vikings have, like, the 23rd overall pick, and that's your second first-round pick?
See, now the only reason, I really haven't been a major fan of Jaden Daniels. I've always said this, but I feel that the perfect situation for him is in Vegas because of the Antonio Pierce connection. I feel like if anyone can unlock that, it's going to be a AP. He is probably my 3rd or 4th favorite quarterback in this draft. So, if we go up and get him, great. I'm going to be ecstatic because I'm happy that our guy got his guy. Okay, but I agree with you in a sense. Like, I don't want to give up a bunch of firsts if he's not for surely the guy. And to be honest, it's never really a sure thing. I think the closest thing to that is Caleb Williams, and that is why he's going number 1, and it's not even a question, right? There's so many question marks around Jaden Daniels. So I hear you. Minnesota, man, they need a quarterback bad. They went and got who they bring. They brought USC kid,
Darnold.
Sam Darnold in. They brought him in the free agency. They got the young kid out of BYU in his 2nd year. They need a quarterback bad. Like, at least with us, we have a guy in Aiden O'Connell that won us a few games last year, right? And we kind of seen some good things and we've seen some bad things. But AP got a chance to watch him closely. And then we got a guy in Gardner Minshew who's won football games. So we have a few guys that have won some games. Minnesota needs a quarterback. And if you stay there and you don't package those up, let's just say you take a tackle at 10, if they're there at 10, right? And who's available at 23, brother? Because you never really know. But Penix may be off the board. Bo Nix may go. And then what? Is it Rattler?
So here's what I really don't think we're gonna get all these quarterbacks to go. Right?
Okay.
Everybody's saying, "Oh, we're gonna get a quarterback 1, 2, 3, and 4." Right? We'll get 4 quarterbacks, and then pick 12's gonna come. The Broncos are gonna take like the 5th quarterback.
Yeah.
The Raiders are gonna take the 6th. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Okay.
We're hearing the Patriots general manager tell us yesterday that they're open to trading that 1st-round pick back.
Yeah.
Why would the Patriots trade a 1st-round pick back? Well, I think they look at it like, hey, the first 2 picks will be quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
That means we have the most valuable pick in the draft.
Okay.
What would you say is more valuable, right? Having the first pick that's a non-quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or taking the 3rd quarterback, right? So I feel like the Patriots may look at it like, hey, we'd rather trade back. Maybe a team says, hey, we want Marvin Harrison Jr. Maybe the Bears say, hey, we'll give you the 9th overall pick, and we'll give you like a 1st-round pick next year because or a 2nd-round pick, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Patriots may rather go back 6 picks where they get like an extra pick or 2.
Yeah.
And to me, the fact that the Patriots are even considering that also kind of comes to the fact that I feel like teams aren't going to just go all in. And, I think the Vikings could even feel the same way that, hey, pick 10, does it make sense to take if the 3rd quarterback ends up at pick 10, I think the Vikings would consider that, right? Because that would make sense.
You have to take Justin Jefferson into account too, because
he's
like, I want to play for a guy that can get me the ball. You know what I mean? And they owe him a shit. He's going to get the bag, Sanjit. And I love Jordan Addison. I think he's a phenomenal. He could be a wide receiver 1. Like he was a baller last year when Jefferson went down. Even when he was in there, he was cooking. Right. But we have to take into account with him. But no, I agree with you, bro. At the end of the day, if you can get a secure second first, you would probably want to get more bang for your buck and pick up 2 of the best players available. Right. And Tom Telesco is kind of stuck to his board in previous, best player available. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. Do you really think that it's a realistic thing they're going to move up and get Jayden Daniels? Like, do you realistically think? Yeah,
I do think so. I think so. I think it's realistic that the Patriots don't. So, like, we don't know. We're fans. We all just kind of guess.
Yeah.
But, chances are, like, the Patriots know who's going to go 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
Chances are scouts and general managers and all those. Chances are they know, like, hey, the 2 best quarterbacks are, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson. These are the 3 quarterbacks to take. Will Levis, don't touch him until he gets into the 2nd round, right? There's some risk there, right? Mm-hmm. These teams know who's going to go 1 and 2. We're guessing, but teams know. So
maybe that's why they heard Drake May's going too, and that was the guy that they wanted to secure. So now they're
right. So that's exactly what I think, right? Maybe the Patriots say, hey, we don't want Jayden Daniels, right? So 1 and 2 is going to be Williams and May, and we would take either of those 2 guys.
Yeah,
right. We don't want J.J. McCarthy at 3. That's a risk. We don't want Jayden Daniels at 3. That's a risk. But Antonio Pierce may say, hey, let's get Jayden Daniels. I know this guy. Let's trade up and get him at 3 or at 4.
Yeah,
right. You can move up to either one of the picks. So we don't really know who kind of wants to. And there's also a chance, people are saying, hey, like, we're going to have to give up so much to move up to pick 3 with the Patriots. If the Patriots decide we're not taking one of these quarterbacks, that pick becomes less valuable, right? In terms of trading, right? The Patriots aren't going to get as much, right? Because it's not the number 1 overall pick. You're not getting the number 1 quarterback. You're trading up for the 3rd quarterback, if that, right?
Yeah.
I think a team is more likely to trade up with the Patriots to take Marvin Harrison Jr. than they are to trade up and take the 3rd quarterback.
Okay.
Right? Because you can even trade up with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
At 4, and then you got a couple other options.
And if they stay at 4, I think that he's the pick. I think that they need that real wide receiver 1 with Kyler Murray. They already put all that money into him. I agree with you. Maybe one of those, the Chargers, maybe one of those wide receiver needy teams say we're going to go up a couple spots. And just devastate Arizona. I can see that.
Right. Yeah. So the draft's gonna be crazy, man. This year's gonna be crazy. But I do predict that we're not gonna get 4 quarterbacks with the first 4 picks. I don't think that's happening.
Okay. Salute to GA, man. Last year's round 1 was crazy. What surprise moves could you not be surprised to see this year? Same thing. Something nobody's talking about. I think Sanjit might have already put it out there right now with, not 3 quarterbacks not going back to back to back. Look, I don't know if you heard this, but months ago, Jared Mayo, the head coach of the New England Patriots, said, we want as many picks as possible. That's the way you build teams. And so I don't find it a shocker now the GM is saying we're open for business, man, because they said this months ago.
Right. Yep. Yeah, you're 100% right with that. Yeah, having your quarterback of the future is definitely the way you win. There's more than just having the quarterback. You got to have a good coach. You got to have a good team around that quarterback. If you don't have weapons, the quarterback's going to struggle. You look at Bryce Young with the Panthers, right? He didn't really have the weapons and he struggled. And then you look at CJ Stroud. He had one of the best play callers in the NFL, and he balled out. So I don't know. It's just going to be interesting as we kind of get into it.
I got one right here, GA, though. This is one surprise move, and maybe it's not really a shocker, but Brock Bowers can be a guy that can go in the top 5 picks. Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia, this guy has the total package. I can see him, if he doesn't fall to 10, I think the Jets are at 9, 10, somewhere in that range. I think he may fall to the Jets, but if not, he may be a top 5 pick. Keep an eye on the Chargers. Keep an eye on the Titans. Where are they at? 6, 7, somewhere in that range?
I think they're at 7.
Okay, they may not go tackle. Maybe they get Brock Bowers. You know what I mean? So I think he'll be a shot. He might be a surprise guy that goes earlier than a lot expect, because a lot of people have him targeted to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers gets one of it, another weapon. I can see that, but maybe, just maybe, he goes very, very early, man. Salute to Isaac. Graphk, good to see you on the Raider Report. Salute to you, Isaac. I appreciate you, brother. Salute to Mitch for having me. Salute to Freight Train. I'm a Rockets fan, but salute to the Kings for taking down the Warriors. F them. And see, that's another reason why. Look, we're doing an hour tonight because, look, we are Sacramento brothers. We are watching our Kings play tonight.
Absolutely.
Mandatory. Salute to Freight Train. Salute to Trip. If you draft a quarterback, you stab AOC in the back. How? It's a business. After he beat the entire AFC West last year with McDummie's playbook, what happened to loyalty? Man, there's no loyalty in business. Trip. I think once you figure that out, brother, you'll understand, because at the end of the day, this was a 4th round guy. He was thrown into the fire last year because Jimmy G wasn't the guy. Right. So I mean, at the end of the day, there's no real loyalty to Aiden. And Aiden was a walk-on. He was like the 7th or 8th quarterback at Purdue. Like he understands you got to work your ass off in order to secure that spot. So I got to disagree with you on that, brother. There's no loyalty in football. Like, Derek Carr was here for 9 years. We moved him, and people, we're unloyal. No, we're not. It's a business. It wasn't working. You move on.
You got to always upgrade. You always got to look to upgrade at the end of the day.
Yeah, facts. Salute to Raider Trap, my 2 favorite content creators on YouTube.
Shout out to you, man.
Love to see it, man. Appreciate you, brother, as always. And once again, you guys, make sure you guys subscribe to our brother Sanjit T, man, and let him know else where to follow. I know you were telling me behind the scenes that you have what's that called? What's that called? It's kind of a membership thing. Patreon. Where to follow you at over there?
Yeah, Sanjit T, Patreon. You can find me. I don't use Patreon too much like that, but you guys can follow me on Patreon. You can do the YouTube memberships, all that stuff. Okay. But just subscribe on YouTube, man. It's going to be the best way to support.
There you go. Let's do some Q&A for the next 15 minutes before we get out of here. Salute to the Mokes, AOC. He does this every show, man. Salute to the Mokes, my guy. Salute to Raider Prophet. Living in Yuba City. Both girls graduated Sac State. Love seeing you brothers together. Short thing to get a right tackle and build out the defense. Salute to Yuba City. Salute to all my people out there in Woodland. That whole area, man. I'll be in Sac too, Sanjit, in the next month. We got to hang out, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. We got to kick it. Have you talked to Ray?
I have not, man. I have not talked to him. I'm gonna hit him up though.
Yeah, I gotta follow him.
He lives right down the street now because I'm in Roseville, so he's in Antelope.
He's in Highlands, I believe, right? Somewhere in the Highlands area.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I got to get with my guy too, man. It's been too long, man. Let me see. Adam Plant Jr. makes the 53. He's not even on the roster anymore, Mask. He actually went. I just texted him. I think he went to the UFL. I think it's a UFL somewhere. He got a job elsewhere. Let me just say that. So he's not in the league right now, but hopefully he finds a way to make his way back to the league. I thought that Adam Plant Jr. was going to be one of the ones, you know what I mean? And we were hearing all the, the talk about him killing it at camp, and next thing you know, he wasn't there. So shocker. Dead Mike says late round sleeper. What do you got for us right here, Sanjit?
All right, let's think about this. So I was doing my list earlier. There's actually a guy that I really, really like. I don't know why he's ranked so low. His name's Kingsley Ikwan out of Florida. He's the starting. He played right guard, I think, this past season, but
center, right?
He played center as well.
Yeah.
I think that guy's it, man. I think he's going to be a long-term starter. Kind of reminds me of Rodney Hudson a little bit. He's strong as hell. He's physical. He's smart. And there's another guy named Matt Lee out of Miami. He's going to be legit as well. He's also a center. Matt Lee's more so like the Andre James type. He's faster. He's quicker.
Yeah.
So he has to get stronger. He has to kind of develop that. You know, one of the things I always do, man, is I always look at like the Michigans, the Oklahomas. They always have the like they have linemen that are going to go late, but they'll be legit because they're well coached, right? They got good coaches. So Oklahoma, obviously, they had the 2 guys last year, and they're going to have a couple guys this year. Who's their center? Is it Andrew Ram? I don't know how you say his last name, but he's pretty legit as well. He's a center for Oklahoma.
Okay.
And then they got their left tackle coming out this year as well. He's kind of being slept on as well. So everybody knows Tyler Guyton.
Yeah.
But their left tackle's Walter Roos, I think is how you say it, or might be Rose.
Yep.
He's gonna be legit as well too. You can just see it, like from a coaching standpoint. These guys are legit.
Yeah. What about 2 positions that we haven't talked about? So Antonio Pierce, former linebacker, UDFA, right? Spillane, free agent after this season, which I think we're gonna give him an extension. Divine Diablo, 1-year deal left, right? And I think that he's going to be the odd man out because of Nate Hobbs and Trayvon Merrick, and other guys need to be paid. Hopefully, Divine balls out and he's a cheap option. But both of our starters are free agents. Then you look at the safety position, right? Our 2 safeties, Marcus Epps, Trayvon Merrick, both free agents. We have Chris Smith. We just took him last year out of Georgia, which I want to see him get some more reps. And Impala Miles on another 1-year deal. Where do you attack the safety position? Where do you attack the linebacker position? Or do you just look at the UDFAs? And is this some late round situation? Because there's going to be a run at linebackers, the Jeremiah Trotters, the Peyton Wilsons, the Edgerrin Coopers, the Cedric Grays. Cedric Gray, I think, will be a little later, but there's going to be a run on those guys, and they're going to be gone. Like, where do you see where we attack that linebacker and safety position?
Yeah, so the linebacker, safety, running back, guard positions they're all devalued positions.
Yeah,
you're not like they're saying now, like linebackers, you're not going to take one in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, they're the running back of the defense now.
Right. Because the issue is no one can cover. No linebacker can cover properly, right? So that's the issue. So
unless you're Fred Warner,
right, and that's like rare. That's like rare. And safety's kind of it's not like linebacker in that same sense, but the thing with safety is a lot of it is scheme fit, right? Like box safety is really no longer a thing anymore, right? You can't be Jamal Adams or Jonathan Abram. You're not going to have success anymore in the NFL, right? You got to be able to cover, and you got to be athletic. You got to have good hips. You got to be able to change direction.
Agreed.
And and I always say this, man. I don't know why more general managers don't follow the Howie Roseman. The way he his thought processes. The guy's always taking D tackles, offensive tackles, guards. He's taking those positions, or defensive ends. He's taking D-line, O-line in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round, right?
The best GM in the year. The best GM in the business.
And then you just go sign your wide receiver. You trade for your wide receiver. In the NFL, that's legit, right? You find the best guy that's kind of available. Same thing with corner. You get like free agents. It's the safest way to have success, right? Taking a 1st-round corner is risky. I think the last 2 corners we drafted were both busts. Or they busted out, To me, what makes sense is let's just, build the trenches. It's the right way to do it. And then from there, you just find like late round guys, right? And I'll be honest with you, like linebacker, safeties, I don't get into the late round guys with those positions. I do O-line primarily and D-line, and I'll get into late guys with like those 2 positions.
I don't want to talk D-line too much because I think we're pretty much intact. I mean, if you added a Byron Murphy or like a Devondre Sweat, then it's just overkill at that point. You're like, what I mean? Braden Fisk may be a guy that we can look at, though. I feel he has that Raider mold.
He might be a 1st-round pick, though. They say like Jerzon Newton's going to be like a late 1st, early 2nd. I find that hard to believe, man, because defensive tackles are the D tackle position has changed, right? Now you got like Chris Jones and Chris Wilkins and Quinn and Williams. You got guys that are like superstars, and the way they impact the game is the same thing as defensive ends. Yeah. But then you still got a lot of guys like John Jenkins that are still starting, that can't really pass rush. Yep. So I feel like if you show a little bit of upside in pass rush, you're probably going to end up being a 1st-round guy, early 2nd. I feel like the Florida State guy's legit pass rusher. He kind of proved that. Yeah. And there's a couple other guys, I like Michael Hall's pretty solid at Ohio State. Yeah. Chris Jenkins, Duke guy that's pretty legit. Dwayne Carter, he's pretty legit. Yeah, he's a baller. A lot of people aren't talking about him right now. Right. I don't understand that. He's another guy that's kind of going under the radar right now. Right.
So where do you target corner then? Because we haven't talked about corner. Like at this point, the defensive line got better. We know it's going to take a lot of pressure off the DBs. But is Jack Jones your corner one this year? Or do you, I love it. That's the easy. We don't even have to finish this sentence because I agree with you. I think Jack is going to be that guy. So do you bring a veteran in right now in free agency? Do you just bring in like a Gilmore?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Jack Jones is legit. Like you can see it. Like this guy is legit. He got swag. Nate Hobbs is legit as well. Help we extend him.
Yeah.
And then you just get a veteran. There's a couple of guys out there. Bring those two guys or bring the guy in and let him start.
Yeah.
Gilmore was legit this last year for the Cowboys. All right, bring a guy in and let's just go forward with that. We should be a legit defense.
I love it. Salute to the most. JD5, clear cut, my brother. Salute to you and salute to Indiana, man, on the 10. Salute to all the new members in the building, you guys. And shout out to everybody saying this is a very good show and the best content. We appreciate you guys.
Absolutely appreciate it.
As always. I'm not going to keep my brother that long. I want to say this because during last season, we talked about doing a podcast together. This upcoming season, brother, we got to start rotating more, man.
Absolutely.
Definitely got to start rotating more. I would definitely love to do this more often because I do a lot of shows, with a lot of people, but I have to say this, and I'm honestly saying this. Waste is my right-hand man, so that's my brother. But you're one of my guys, bro. You're one of my brothers, and you're one of my favorite people to do shows with because not only are you passionate about our team, but you're passionate about the trenches. You're passionate about the specific positions that you target. And I learn a lot of shit, man, watching you. Like some people, how you know some of this stuff? I'm like, y'all don't realize I check on my guy. You know what I mean? You give me some names and I'm like, I think I found out Kingsley, the kid from Florida because of you. You know what I mean? Because initially I had him as an earlier round guy. And then I started seeing he's available in the 7th and the 6th. I'm like, what the hell happened with this kid? You know what I mean? But I started doing more homework on him because of it. You know what I'm saying? And I just saying, man, like I would love, for us to start rotating a little bit more, man, and doing more of these, whether it's on your channel, my channel, it doesn't matter. Both channels. It doesn't really matter.
Right. I appreciate that, bro. For reals. I do appreciate that a lot. And I love getting on live with you. Like for reals. I don't do live shows on my channel that often. I think I do I got to get more into it, but I enjoy coming on live. I enjoy reading the comments as we're kind of talking. So I appreciate that, bro.
It's all love, brother. Once again, before we get out of here, man, let everybody know where to follow you and what you got going on, and how we can support you and anything you got going on, man.
Yeah. So YouTube's always the way to support. I have Instagram. I don't really use Instagram. I have TikTok. I don't really use it. I'll log in to post. I'll get people that will DM me, and then occasionally I'll check my DMs every 5 months. Yeah. And I'll see all the backed up things, and I always tell people, hit me up on Twitter. I check Twitter more often,
Yeah.
I'm on all the platforms. You can just Sanjit T, search me, you'll find me. I appreciate it, bro. For reals, I really, really do appreciate it.
Good, man.
I'm gonna ask you a final question before we end this.
Let's get it.
Who are the Raiders picking? Just one guy. Who is it at pick 13? What's your prediction?
If I had to be a betting man right now, and I've said it over and over again, I think we take Fuaga at 13. I think we get a right tackle.
Okay. I agree, man. You look at Tom Telesco and what this guy's done, it just makes sense. A perfect fit, physical. Love it, man. I love it.
I have one question for you on the way out, somewhat like that.
Okay.
If you had to be a betting man and you had to name one player in this draft that's going to be a Raider, it could be later rounds, whatever. Okay. One player that you had to say, life or death, man, I got to get this right. What player is it that will be a Raider?
All right. It's definitely going to be a guard. For sure, because we need a guard. And he has to fit the Tom Telesco mold.
Okay.
Let me think about this. Who's going to be a guy? So it's going to be probably a 4th or 5th round guy.
Okay.
It might be later. Telesco's taking a couple six round guys. I think Telesco targets guys from. I think he targets guys from bigger schools. I got to look into that one. I don't
Last year, two receivers out of TCU. He has taken Alabama guys in the past. He's definitely. Yeah, bigger school guys.
We're gonna draft Christian Mahogany at a Boston college.
Whoa,
the guy.
And that's another sneaky guard that a lot of people are not talking about.
He's gonna be a star, man. He's gonna be a star in the NFL.
And so that's another Boston college guy that he goes and gets. Zion Johnson. Oh, I like that. You guys heard it here first, you guys. That man, Christian Mahogany out of Boston College, is going to be a Raider. And it's coming from one of the GOATs of Raider content. My brother, once again, I appreciate you for pulling up and we'll definitely line something up here in the near future. Salute to the greatest chat in YouTube history. On the way out, you guys, do me a favor once again. If you're already not subbed to one of the greatest, make sure you go over there and subscribe to our brother Sanjit T over there on YouTube, man, and support one of our own. My brother, once again, I'm gonna double back and we'll stay in contact like we always do.
Absolutely.
My brother, man. Salute to the chat. You guys have a blessed day. I gotta go watch my Kings put an ass whooping on these Pelicans. You already know. Salute. Love y'all. We out. One.